And our plan is going to be to mobilize this tissue and get this over into a more anatomic position. It looks like the tear ends at about this point right here. So we need 1, 2 anchors, and we will typically use the 5.5 fully threaded Bio-Corkscrew anchors. One down at this lower level, and then another one up here close to the articular surface to reestablish the upper rolled edge of the subscapularis. So we'll establish our anterior superior portal, which can be used for the supraspinatus tendon, and hopefully will be effective here too for our subscapularis. Okay, and we're going to put in a smaller cannula, a 6mm cannula, and we'll take a shaver next to this cannula to start to prepare the bone so we get a bleeding bony surface. Now typically when we fix these, we have a tendency to medialize these at least a ½ centimeter, so we don't try to drag them all the way out laterally. We medialize them just a little bit, just like someone might do in a supraspinatus tear with a single row, putting it closer to the articular edge. We've not had a whole lot of experience with the double row subscapularis repairs, but that's typically because the subscapularis sort of partially tears and pulls down, and a lot of the tissue remains attached laterally. And without detaching that, it probably supports our repair. This is a new type of burr, which has a clear sheath to it so that we can see what's going on inside of it. It also protects us from hitting the soft tissues. We just want to peel off all the remaining soft tissue, and that should be enough preparation for what we're planning on doing here. Now typically with the subscapularis, what happens is it pulls off at the top and then it pulls back at an angle. So what we have to do is just check and make sure we understand exactly where the proper corner is. So it looks like we want to just bring this right over here, but in reality what's happened is this is pulled off and down, so we really have to go more medially to grab the tissue, and then we find the upper rolled edge. That's the piece that we want, and that piece has to go back up to this point right here for us to get the subscapularis repaired. So again, what happens is we can get fooled thinking that this is all the tissue that we need to deal with, but it's pulled off down and medially. So we really have to work to get to that upper rolled edge, which we know is the normal anatomy of the upper part of the subscap, and then we pull that back into place and try to get that up at that upper edge. And then that's going to look more like what we intended. And then the length or the distance that we saw here, about 1.5 to 2 centimeters, is what suggested that we're going to have to use 2 anchors. And then you can see that the capsule sort of delaminated. The real capsular attachment back over is down in here, as this tissue here, which we want to capture in our sutures to make sure this is repaired over. And then there's some fraying or splitting on the in-between, which we should be able to resolve. I have not detached it more laterally, which allows it to stay a little bit more secure. But again, the whole idea here is going to be to get that upper rolled edge back into its proper position.